good first day of practice at Dr. Phillips High School. Excellent facility. I thought the team was moving around pretty well today. It was good to be back outside practicing with shorts on. That certainly was enjoyable, and from what I understand, it's going to get a little bit warmer as the week goes on. And a good start to our preparation, and I know the team is looking forward to their trip to Disney this afternoon, which I'm sure will be an exciting afternoon and evening for them. Questions?
You get a sense that they had a bounce in their step today at practice?
I think anytime you take the practices on the road, I've experienced this a couple times at these bowl games, there's always a little bit of energy that kind of gets infused into the team. I think it's a different setting. I think the players enjoy it. I think certainly the players we have from Florida enjoy it maybe a little even more so than the players we have from the Northeast and the state of Rutgers. But it's definitely an enjoyable part of the bowl experience for us.
Coach, you've done this as an assistant, but you've never been in the chair leading the ball practice as a coach. Does it feel any different in all 2 years? It kind of just, you've been doing it so long that it's kind of just the same routine for you.
Really, the practices don't feel any different than they did during the season. That part of it doesn't change. I think that your bowl experience as the head coach is a little bit different. There's a couple more functions that you need to attend. There's certainly a few more interviews that you need to do and a few more pictures that get taken. But the bowl experience is a great experience for the players. It was a tremendous experience for me. I didn't get to experience it as a player, but I can see it in our own players. But it certainly was a really enjoyable experience for me as an assistant coach, and this has been a great experience. I can't imagine it'd be a better place for me to spend my first bowl experience as a head coach than down here in Orlando, with a group that puts on 2 games a year and does everything first class.
Health-wise, is everybody available?
Borghese didn't look great today. He looked like his back's a little bit stiff. But Federico looked good. He hit a 47-yarder. So I don't know exactly what that means, but we'll work that out as the week goes on. But other than that, I think we're in good shape. We look pretty good running around out there.
How's Brandon Jones?
Good. Yeah, I felt last week that he would be ready to go in the game, and everything I saw today, he was not limited in any way. I thought he looked good out there running around and hitting. We had the pads on, so I think he'll be ready to go.
The health of Juwan, and do you anticipate splitting it between him and Savon?
I think they'll both carry a significant amount, and Juwan looked good. I think Juwan is as close to 100%, if not 100%, as he's been since he got injured. So I think he's in a good place right now.
And how about Andre? Andre Shovel, is he 100%? And will you alternate there because they both played, or will you stick with one?
I think they'll both play early in the game, and then that'll be one. Maybe we've done this in a couple games. We'll kind of feel it out as the game goes on. I do feel like Andre is 100%, though. I think he's fully recovered. He looks good moving around. So I don't have any reservations about him playing in the game. But I am pleased with the way Taj has played as well. So I think we'll give them both an opportunity to play early in the game.
What was the last time, if you can remember, was it pre-Cincinnati that the offense was 100% in terms of the health, and do you think that had an impact on, maybe some of the production down the stretch?
I think it probably was pre-Cincinnati when that was the case, and I think it always has an effect. It does, and there's no excuses. But I think starters are starters for a reason. When you become a starter, it's because unless you're splitting a game 50-50, it's generally because you're the most productive player. And when you have injuries, it certainly has an effect. But I don't think the players on this team, and certainly our coaches, won't do it. And we'll use any of that for excuses. We have to be creative and find other ways to get the ball in the end zone more than our opponent does. That's ultimately what the goal is.
Coach, you obviously recruit the state of Florida. Can you just talk about the significance of playing this bowl game down here?
I think it's a tremendous reward and a tremendous experience for the players currently on our team that are from Florida. And we have quite a few. Guys like Juwan Jameson, Caleb Johnson, D.C. Jefferson has been in our program for a long time, amongst others. They're not the only ones. Kenny Kirksey, certainly plays a lot of football for us. I think what you see is they get excited when they come down here. It's a great opportunity for them and their families, or maybe their extended families, to see them play live when maybe they haven't had an opportunity to do that. And certainly for the players we're currently recruiting from Florida, it gives them an opportunity to see us down here and know that, hey, if Rutgers is the right fit for me, and Rutgers is where I choose to go, I know I may have an opportunity to come back down to Florida and play in front of my family and friends.
What do you see challenge-wise from this Virginia Tech team? What kind of challenge you guys have facing these guys?
I think the challenge is really in every phase of the game. They have an excellent kickoff returner who averages over 28 yards a kickoff return. They've got, I believe, the #1 punt returner in the ACC, Kaishawn Jarrett, who's an excellent player who we were involved with during the recruiting process, so we're very familiar with him. Certainly at quarterback, they have an NFL player, and anytime you play a team that has an NFL-type player, whether for us it was Arkansas, whether it was Louisville, and certainly now Virginia Tech, the way you play defense has to start with trying to minimize his effect on the game. And defensively, I think it's as athletic and complete a defense as we've seen all year. And we've played against some good defenses this year, so it's not to devalue any of those. But this is just a very well-rounded, well-put-together defense, very athletic, very strong, and very aggressive. And I think Bud Foster, again, has done an excellent job with this group to get them to where they are.
Are there any comparisons between facing a Teddy Bridgewater so recently and facing a quarterback who's also be mobile and be moving around and stuff when you in this ball game?
I think it's a different challenge. I think Teddy is an extremely talented passer. When we played him, he really wasn't very mobile, so it wasn't a situation where you were looking to defend, that part of his game. And I think with Logan Thomas, it's a situation where he's their leading rusher right now. So you better stay. Again, our defense starts with stopping the run, and stopping the run against Virginia Tech starts with trying to minimize his effect on the game. So it's the similarities are that they're both accurate passers, but I think this is going to be more of a running, passing game by the quarterback than the one we saw versus Louisville.
Ryan Malik, number 88 for Virginia Tech. Were you familiar with him in the recruiting process?
A little bit. It was a name that certainly was on our board, but it wasn't my position or my recruiting area. So he was a guy that we were familiar with, and somebody that we were involved with at one point. I'm not sure exactly how far down the road that went, though.
And the impact that he makes on the game. I mean, is he a threat?
I think there's no doubt he's a threat. I think they have players at every position that can make plays, and I think he's one of those guys for them.
Got time for two more?
You talked about defensively how tough Virginia Tech is. What do you guys have to do offensively to kind of counteract some of that toughness?
We have to execute and run the ball effectively. I've talked about this in the past. We have not scored enough points the last couple games to where you feel comfortable that you're giving yourself an opportunity to win the game. And for us, that starts with running the football. The games where we've run the football effectively, we've performed very well on offense. And we've made some great strides from last season to get to this point. But I think when you judge the recent history of it, the last two games, it's not a huge body of work, but they are the two most recent games we played. We didn't do a good enough job as a football team running the football. And for us to be an effective offense and be a balanced offense, it's going to start with us running the football and create the one-on-ones that we want to have.